pretty even up against the Ryze, and I think that it's also a big comfort pick for him in the middle lane as well. But I feel like that Snank's like, hey, what about that dude we've actually been playing? And you're like, oh yeah, he is good. And then now they're all bringing it out. Now we get to see and evaluate how well Expect can do.
Really dominate if they're able to get going, but G2 don't want to give them a chance to.
This is also an extremely potent Baron-taking team. Cogmore, Cassio on top of a Cho'Gath as well.
Top lane ult still held by those top laners.
Perkz making the roam up, though. He has the Realm Warp, and they can go for this. Trundle ult is popped.
Just going to be in range. Expect getting a few chomps down himself. Takes a bite out of Crime, and the kill goes over. To Expect in that top side. Trick and Crash meet each other in the jungle. Looks like Trick's going to waltz out of this one, knowing the other side of the map has the advantage.
That G2 is just able to build match resist across the board. I mean, Perkz on the top 3 members of the map. You have an Abyssal Mask, you have a Spirit Visage complete, where you're like, oh, but they have the Rakan and G4. They have this powerful engage if they can just find it. There's not really much of that.
Realm Warp again, right onto Crash, and it looks like that is going to happen. Japone very low. Monsoon goes down with both summoners, so that means they do not have much siege protection left. Double Buster shot back. Frozen and Padden are put right into the redemption of Japone. Here comes Thaldrun waltzing in from the right, but there are minions on the top side ready to bash into the turret.
They're straight onto the Baron. Crash has respawned, but they don't really have any vision here. They need to check in. They have to contest this.
Going slow, Japone trying to use the sweeper to get himself a bit of vision. They feel good that that's been pulled off.
You have the Cho'Gath ultimate, you have the Cassio who does it incredibly quickly. You also have the Cogmore there too, as another fight might be kicking off. TP coming in from Expect.
Yeah, they're looking to get flanked, and Fenerbahçe is actually split up here. They could be in trouble.
Dropping the minions in the mid wave, so they make sure that G2 may not have something to push, but they'll go right for Baron if they can take the fight. Thaldrun goes down. The 50-50's only with Crash now, and the Smite. Expect stands tall on the front line as Padden tries to find a few more shots.
Even one time, he can get engaged on.
Perkz on the other side of the wall. Man mode for him as he pushes Crash over. And we'll see if Crash can get himself back in. The flash is up, so he can pretty much deny any of that positioning, but over the wall goes G2 for Crash, and the Baron will go into the hands of G2 Esports. Trick and Mithy to do the rest of the damage there. Hopefully,
there is
enough damage there. Getting a little ahead of themselves. Overzealous. G2 goes for too many kills and almost lose their team doing Baron.
The way out is for Cassio to flash up. He then is already meeting him there.
And now G2 with the Baron buff. They're looking for mid, but here comes
on the flank.
Righteous Glory, eyes on Sven on the back line. Crash straight to him, expecting Trick now in the front. Sven turns around to start firing, and that is going to be a dead Crash. Trick pops up Thaldrun. Enough shots could be the end of him as Perkz enters from the side with a flash. And now, without blinking, they continue the fight. Padden and Sven 1v1, blasted back with a buster shot. And a Cathy, it won't surprise anybody on this one. G2's in the base.
Really good engage from Crash, but just too late into the game. G2 are far too strong, and they're going to go to a nearly perfect game against 1907 Fenerbahçe.
Both teams coming in 0-1. There had to be a victor in the group, and G2 makes a bit of a statement for themselves here, climbing towards the top, looking for a 1-2 position here in Group C. They take down the final Nexus turret, and they will have the Nexus. 8-0, 32 minutes in. G2 take the victory over 1907 Fenerbahçe.
EU 2-0 on the day, boys. That's it. We're back. We're coming for groups.
And you have to ask. No, I'm not going to say that. But, either way, G2 turning in a good performance here. They can be happy about this one. Back-to-back wins from Europe. Playing around the Trundle, I think, very well in both games, even if it's just something that's changing how people play in picks and bans. Because you can answer Trundle, but just not really with tanks. It's so hard in those 1v1s as someone like a Cho'Gath or a Maokai or even a Shen to fight this guy, but carries can actually answer him pretty well, so maybe you're starting to see things shift.
And is this now one of those champions that raises in priority on the ban list?
Absolutely.
Is this something you want